Hello, this is Head to Head on UATV, and I'm Alice Gerjuk. It looks like Ukraine is becoming a better player in international affairs. Local political experts gave Ukraine a 4- for 2017 foreign policy, where 5 is excellent. That makes its participation in international affairs worth a little more than 2016. To tell us about the anticipated outcomes of Ukraine's role on the international stage, we welcome to the studio Hennadiy Maksak, chairman of the Foreign Policy Council Ukrainian Prism. Hello, and thank you for being with us today, Mr.
Thank
Maksak.
you for inviting.
What are the key priorities of Ukraine's foreign policy in 2017? What were the key priorities, basically?
Well, there is a good news and a bad news at the same time. Good news that we have priorities. They are outlined in address of the President of Ukraine. There are 4 of them, more or less, which take a lot of attention from all the institutions. But still, we do not have a comprehensive document like concept or strategy for foreign policy, which is the bad news. So basically, we're dealing with European integration, we're dealing with Euro-Atlantic integration, we're dealing with building up the international support for fighting Russian aggression, and the fourth is economic diplomacy.
Mm-hmm. But you mentioned that we don't have the concept, or we don't have the actual strategy for international affairs. How does it work in other countries? Should it be some document which declares the agenda for the upcoming year, what to work on, or how does it? What are we talking about?
It varies from country to country, but I would say that in Ukraine we have a law on the basics of internal and external politics, foreign policy and domestic policy. And it is quite outdated document, and it is quite vague whether it comes to resources and to real aims and tasks. So basically we need a new one which would be more comprehensive. And basically we just referring to it in our study, which we presented today. It's about foreign policy back in 2017. And as you rightly mentioned, we have a better mark this year. It's B-. Last year, I mean 2016, it was C+. Yeah, and I think it's a good dynamics. But still, we have some gaps in some directions foreign policy. When it comes to regional policy, like Middle East, like Latin America, like Central Asia. But still, we have some very good directions, as I mentioned, which are indicated as priorities for foreign policy in Ukraine.
What opportunities did we miss in those areas that you mentioned, in Latin America?
Basically, we lack a comprehensive approach and the vision. What do we want from these regions? We should also pay attention that now we are not in peacetime diplomacy. So basically, what is a crucial part of our activity is how to gather a lot of support from West and other countries to fight with Russian aggression. And I think that we maybe just focus too much on these issues, while other regions are just left without the profound attention. So basically, we need to have a strategy or action plan for each region. What do we want?
For every region of Ukraine, or every region of the world?
It comes regions of the world. Yeah, not regions of Ukraine, because basically we're talking about
the whole
policy.
Country.
Yeah, and in this way, I think we have to distinguish that there are separate policies. Let not call it like strategy, but policies for definite region. When it comes to Middle East, what do we want from Iran? Whether it's our energy interest, or maybe we want somehow to foster our agricultural cooperation, or be it a kind of political dialogue we have to extend. So basically, we should put it on paper to be more clear about what our task and objectives.
If not Latin America and Middle East, then what regions were the Ukrainian diplomats keeping their focus on during the last year?
If we can name it as a region, we pay a lot of attention to the Eastern Partnership, which is basically the policy of European Union, but at the same time it unites 6 countries, which are the
Balkan states?
No, Eastern Partnership is about Caucasus and about Eastern Europe. You rightly mentioned Western Balkans, but I think we still lag behind there in this region, and some scandals we know of which appeared last year are just manifestation of that we are not paying good attention to this domain. Another region, maybe Visegrad 4.
You mean Poland and Hungary right now?
Yes, Visegrad 4, Visegrad Group is about these 4 countries: Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic and Slovakia. In half we're doing fine when it comes to Czech Republic and Slovakia. In half we're doing not that good, and sometimes it's because of the external circumstances, like the elections period in Hungary, which just agitated a lot of tensions between our two countries. And when it comes to Poland, I think it's also not, it's like two-way street. So basically we do our part of policy and they do their part. And sometimes we have like not understanding to the full extent of what we do.
What decision do you see as some crucial mistakes of the Ukrainian government or Ukrainian diplomats or Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the last year?
I wouldn't say that it is mistake, but basically it's about overestimation of the our military diplomacy, I would say. So basically, we are more focused and oriented on gathering some support from our Western partners, and it's good because actually we're not in peacetime. But at the same time, I think that it just lets us, allows us just putting behind the other regions and the other in other directions. We are more active on the level of international organizations, be it OSCE, be it UN, be it Council of Europe, and basically these 3 directions, our relations with this and cooperation with these organizations are quite on a high level. So basically they achieved quite high marks. But when it comes to other spheres, when it comes to maybe nuclear non-proliferation, when it comes to international security, we still need to find a compromise with those who are doing quite good.
But what potential partners were kind of forgotten or paid too little attention by Ukraine?
When we come to recommendations in our study, we still focus on policy of neighborhood. So our idea is that we still overlook a lot of possibilities when it comes to our neighbors. And tensions with Hungary, tensions with Poland, tensions with Belarus to some extent, they're not playing on our hand, they're playing in the hand of Russia. And we do understand that. So basically, and we see some pieces of news that indicate that there is Russia behind some kind of subvert actions which are done in Ukraine, for example. But I think that we should be more comprehensive when it comes to the toolkit we use with our partners, and I think we have still some room for that.
And what international connections are considered to be fresh achievements?
I would try to say that we are more at the moment trying to pay attention to we're trying to pay attention to the public diplomacy and economic diplomacy. If we consider them as instruments for foreign policy performance, I think it's a good sign for us, because last year we had a new expert strategy. Last year we initiated already full potential of the creation of Ukrainian Institute, and we had a big range of cultural events all over the world, in all the angles, all the parts of the globe. So basically I think we are just trying to get momentum on that, and it's very good, because actually it's not only about political dialogue as it was previously in Soviet times. It's about soft power, how to make us attractive. Still we're not very good and quite weak when it comes to investments, how to attract FDI, but I think we're still making some steps which could be like the first part of the process.
But does this research analyze only Ukraine's international affairs, or is there some broader issue about all the political decisions on the global scale?
Basically, this one is devoted specifically to performance and foreign policy. We're trying to indicate all the institutions which are involved in creation and implementation of foreign policy, and trying to assess their activity, their effectiveness. It's not about foreign affairs as such, it's about foreign policy.
Foreign policy,
is it a policy, or is it just a process we somehow want to steer? It's two different things. But I think that with every new year, we see that we have more experience in dealing with the challenges we face. And we are more experienced in just implementing new approaches to the situations which were not resolved in past so far.
So just to conclude, how effective was Ukraine's foreign policy in 2017? What decisions you see as the right ones? In what opportunities or decisions were we lagging behind and didn't adopt something and missed the chance?
I think 2017 has some lessons learned, and it's predominantly about our activity, how to fight Russian aggression, be it in the realm of information warfare, be it in the realm of military aggression or in other domains. I think that we are more experienced in that. We have more understanding how to use legal instruments like international courts, how to make more publicity of the ideas we want to pursue global-wide. And I think this is the right direction because, as I mentioned, and I would like to reiterate once more, we are not in peace and we are not in peacetime. So basically, we are more on the rails of military diplomacy, and it's very good. What's lags behind? We still have to pay more attention to economic development. And I think it's about reforms in Ukraine internally, but it's also about how to make it more visible that we can be a partner for those who want to
develop the
trade with us.
trade and partnership. And does this research provide any recommendation for the upcoming, well, basically for the present 2018 year, to focus on any directions?
Yes,
maybe?
Good question. I would say that we, each and every time, this is the third edition, so basically we have three years of this study. We're trying to deliver some kind of recommendations, which we see quite important. And I would say that this time we just reduce the number, but trying to go in depth. The first one we already mentioned with you in our discussion. It's about foreign policy concept or strategy for the midterm, like 2025. I think it would be a good example of the document, of the paper, which sets not only goals, but also resources we are capable to deliver, to put in the process to achieve our tasks. I think it would be a good side, a good sign for our enhancing of our foreign policy performance. Another one, neighborhood policy. And another one maybe to create new instruments in economic diplomacy, or like ambassador at large for dealing with transnational corporations. I think we still overlook these possibilities. And many others, but I think these are more ground and just profound, just to be put in the framework of our foreign policy performance.
Well, so the next step is to deliver this message to the Ukrainian MPs. Right, to the Ukrainian parliament? Or
Ukrainian MPs and to other resorts which are involved in foreign policy implementation. And basically we tried to do that today. We had very good conversation with stakeholders. We had representatives from Ministry of Information Policy, from MFA, from Parliament, from Administration of President of Ukraine. So basically we discussed, and I see that there is understanding from that side.
Okay, I understand you. Okay, thank you so much for this conversation.
A pleasure.
That was Hennadiy Maksak, Chairman of the Foreign Policy Council, Ukrainian Prism. Thank you, and keep on watching more on uatv.